this week's More Perfect Union podcast, Real Debate Without the Hate. This is Kevin Kelton. Returning with Greg Matusak, Molly Malloy Cooper, and Cliff Dunn. This week we're doing our show in two separate parts. I hope you heard the first part. But tonight we're going to talk about some new stuff that is just hitting the wires as we came on the air. And one is that it looks like Senator Mitch McConnell's health care bill is not feeling so well. Greg, what's happening there?
No, literally, just as we started to hit record, we had to hit stop because two Republican senators, Republican Senator Jerry Moran from Kansas and Mike Lee from Utah, have said that they will vote no, which then joins, of course, Susan Collins and from Kentucky, help me here.
Rand Paul. So that pretty much kills this bill. I mean, that's the math was so precarious. And Chuck Schumer has already issued a statement urging, I think that's his nice way of saying, urging the Republicans to, totally put this away, trash everything, go back to the drawing board and try with a bipartisan approach.
Right.
Yes. And I have to agree. Maybe a bipartisan approach might be the way to try to fix and not, and that's what I think America really wanted in all of this. What do y'all think?
I'm not sure there is such a thing as a bipartisan approach on this.
I agree with you, Cliff.
Oh,
I think
boy, someone is really? Come on.
Cliff is right.
Yeah, no, I see bipartisan on infrastructure, on possibly taxes, but healthcare is so toxic. I mean, I wish they could work collaboratively and come up with something really good, but I don't see it either.
All right. We have two conservatives, two liberals. So quick, the conservatives here, throw out something that you want from healthcare. Throw out one thing that you all want from healthcare.
I want costs to come down. So
you know what? Wait, stop right there.
Okay,
Kevin, do you want costs to come down?
No, I'd like them to go higher.
I think you're being funny. Of course,
everybody wants costs to come down.
We want costs to come down. See, we're already being bipartisan here. I think we could do this.
You know what? They should put us on it. Absolutely.
I know. We're this could be the real law without debate. Right. Wait, that's not right.
No, I think if you put a group like us in a room, gave us 30 or 40 lawyers and staffers and so forth to deal with the actual technical stuff of how will X impact Y, yes, you could come up with a wonderful bill. Getting that through the current circumstances in Washington, please don't make me laugh.
So you know what? Hey, let's just play with this for a second. We're all here. Let's try it. Let's take just 5 points and see if we can come to a consensus on some kind of a bipartisan bill. And I'll start. What's important to me is that we have plans that have full coverage and none of these junk plans or catastrophic plans that I know some conservatives think that's going to bring down the cost, but the problem is it creates two tiers of insurance, and sicker people will go into the more expansive plans, and younger, healthier people will just have catastrophic plans or plans that cover less, and it will push up the price for people that have more potential for illness. So that's my big thing is we have to keep the Obamacare broad coverage to make all plans have certain minimums and no lifetime caps. Okay?
Okay, so this is where I leave you, because in doing that, then what you're having is the young, healthy people paying more for the sick people, and they say, hey, it's not worth it. I'll take my chances. If I go bankrupt, I go bankrupt. But I know for sure I'm getting a raw deal because I'm paying more than the coverage I need for me.
What insurance is about? Isn't it pooling risk? Isn't the idea to get as many people to pool risk as possible?
It is on one respect, but I think I've been trying to explain this using the auto insurance market for a while, and that doesn't seem to be sticking. And it occurred to me earlier today that maybe flood insurance is the more apt thing. That in a sense, you're taking people who aren't in the flood plain and making them buy flood insurance.
or trying to compel them to buy flood insurance to make it cheaper for the people who choose to live in the floodplain.
Yes, and I will say I don't necessarily want to see everybody have insurance. What I want to see is an end to this nonsense where if you have insurance, your cost for X procedure between you and the insurance company combined is 20 or 30% of what the guy who isn't insured pays. It's one thing for your copay to be smaller because you got the insurance policy, but when the insurance company is able to turn around and drive down that price, and so two people come in with the same injury, one guy has insurance, he's going to pay $1,000 between him and the insurance company. The guy who's uninsured is going to pay $4,000 or $5,000. That strikes me as raw.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems like even people who are friends, even people who are, it looks like we can't even come to a decision on something like this. So yeah, maybe Cliff is right. Maybe this is doomed to never be a bipartisan issue. Do you think, Molly, Cliff, that the way the Republicans did it this way behind complete closed doors was the way to go about it, though?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I actually thought that we might be able to come to a consensus on 5 broad points, but it's even harder than I thought. So, hey, you know what? Healthcare is tough. I never realized that.
Healthcare is difficult.
Who thought it would be this difficult?
Oh my gosh. I thought, I thought we could just put up some quick website and throw it together real quick, and this would be easy.
Oh, well, that part was super easy.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think the CBO is still going to come back with a score? Because I really wanted to know whether this plan was going to improve on or worsen on the last one that was a $22 million net loss of coverage.
It never gets better.
Yeah. I still don't know why we're still citing this 22 million like it's meaning. I'll pick a number out of the sky. It's 40 Google. I mean,
no, that's not fair, Mom. It's not fair. Let me say something. I understand what you mean, but first of all, that's like saying, let's not use the Electoral College anymore. That's the standard that we have. Okay, the CBO is the standard that the House and the Senate have used for decades. They are a professional, independent body. For you to just say the numbers are meaningless, you can't do that because that's how they score every tax bill.
No, because they're very bad at estimating coverage. They've been wrong 100. Yes, no, they're much better with money than they are with people's response to law. No, I can give you the numbers. They have been off by, huge percentages.
And even if they were off by 25%,
no, they're not off by 25%. I'm talking between 40, 50%.
Well, says you.
No, says the CBO.
No, the CBO does not say that about their own work.
Well, yeah, no, because if you go back and pull what they said in 2013 versus what happened in 2015 versus what actually happened in 2015, their numbers there. They were so far off.
So let me ask you a question, Molly. Is there an organization, a group that could give us a fair and balanced, since we like that term, estimate for something like this? Or is this, or can we just sort of guess? Is there any sort of organization?
No, they are sort of guessing, and no, I don't know of anyone who did better.
You can't just say, oh, the estimates are all off, so let's just pass this because we think it might work.
Well, that's
they're at least using data.
No.
Then don't pass the bill.
No.
Don't pass the bill. Don't change anything.
No, they're using models, and there's a huge difference between data and models.
But what's your stand that we should just pass the existing bill on Mitch McConnell's say so that it's going to improve the health insurance market? Every insurance company has said it's going to make the market worse. So why should we throw out the only independent score?
No. So, we shouldn't throw it out, but we should have such an enormous grain of salt that it's not even going to fit in our mouths.
But what do you do then? Do you just throw it away? And what do you vote on? What do you want your 52 Republican senators to base their vote on?
on whether the provisions are actually going to expand the market, provide more consumer choice, incentivize people to join the market who are on the sidelines now because it's not in their best interest, because it's not cost effective for them.
But that's based on your supposition of what people are going to do. There's no economic model.
Well, my supposition is no more wrong than the CBOs.
Yes, it is.
No,
They have 100 people that spent the last week on this.
Oh, okay. I've spent the last 5 years, studying this, and I came up with, I said there's no way. When the CBO came up with those numbers back in, 2008, I'm like, that's never going to happen. The take-up rate will be significantly lower than that, and it was.
No, okay.
Yeah, well, that could happen. So, speaking of the CBO, Kevin.
Yes.
Do you want what else is going on with the CBO?
Well, they also disagreed with Trump's growth assumptions on the budget. Now, Molly, are those projections any better?
Oh my God. I don't know. You should read the GOP should ignore the CBO in the Washington Post. It was, posted today. It's exactly what I just said.
If some right winger got it published in the Washington Post, then certainly I should listen to it. Because every blog that happens to get published in the Washington Post takes the banner of the Washington Post, the imprimatur of it, and means that they're right.
Okay, so in May 2013, CBO projected 22 million people would have exchange coverage, but only 12.7 million were enrolled. That is not small.
But more people used Medicaid coverage. The overall change in coverage was exactly what they projected, that by 2018, an extra 30 million people would be covered. And that's exactly what happened.
So in 2012, they estimated that 12 million would be covered. In 2016, and the actual number was 14.4 million. So they were not as far off, and it's certainly that extra 2 million does not outweigh the 10 million that they were off, and that busts the budget. When we were supposed to get those phantom savings from people being on this.
Okay, well then I think you're right. Then I think we should just every person should just independently make up their minds as to what would work in the market and what shouldn't work, and they should vote their conscience.
All right.
Okay. No referees, no judges, no rules. Just.
Well, I mean, part of the problem is that it's hard to come up with an actual neutral estimate because there is so much fighting over those basic assumptions. That's the problem here.
But isn't that true with every financial policy that's ever come before the House or the Senate? Every tax policy.
But they do better when it's revenues versus spending. Better, not perfect, but better than they have been with
because
whether people will take
factors. There are fewer parameters.
Right.
They do better with revenues versus spending, and they do better with just, I'll say, generic, broad economic models than impacts on individual behavior writ large.
Yes, because obviously psychology it plays a certain element of what people will purchase and why, especially when it has to do with their health. But to just say that the whole thing is make believe, I think does a disservice to the good people of the CBO who are working all weekend and who put their lives on the line.
Oh,
God bless them. God bless every one of them
in men's warehouse uniforms.
Okay. No, the economists are my people. I know.
And they have a lot of them there.
I know, but no, I mean that's who's on the CBO.
Yeah,
so
that's why we're surprised you're throwing shade at them. I mean, I just can't imagine you going to an economist convention and being like, "Look at those CPO guys. Yeah, they probably couldn't. They probably need slide rulers." Yeah, I don't know.
I can't show my face at the American Economics Association meetings this year.
Yeah, not after tonight. No, there's going to be all sorts of. They're probably going to write a diss track about you or something like that. And which is pretty much all they do is say, "Do you got your beats down? Shouldn't we be scoring or shouldn't we be adding numbers? No. I got some fat beats. We're going to show her." really, we should be doing work. No. This is going to be awesome. So we figured it out. Don't worry, people.
The other topic that we wanted to talk about tonight is people who are following in Donald Trump's footsteps, celebrities or people who are not professional politicians, who are now thinking about and saying they are going to run for high office. Apparently, Kid Rock, the musician, is talking about running for senator.
First of all, let's not use that word musician with Kid Rock unless it's in quotes. Okay, Kid Rock.
He might be actually closer to a politician than he is to a musician.
Yeah, he's something.
Wait. The CBO is closer to an economist. Never mind.
Their diss track on you is going to be just
fierce. Man, I'm in trouble now.
You are. So Kid Rock has like a website. He's selling T-shirts. And I can't tell if this is a publicity stunt or if this is for real. But for the record,
where have I heard that before?
I know.
Yes.
And to make matters worse, as someone pointed out, as a family member pointed this out, he's from Michigan. And Michigan is one of the 10 states that should have gone for Hillary, but went for Trump. And we can't have that again.
And I'm from there, and they do like Kid Rock up there.
He does commercials for Ford. He writes crappy songs about Michigan, and it's amazing.
Well, he would have to run against Debbie Stabenow because Al Franken just won re-election.
Debbie Stabenow's retiring.
That's Minnesota, not Michigan.
Yeah,
you're right. I mixed up my M states. So who's in Michigan?
They didn't have an election in 2016. Their last election was in 2014. Gary Peters.
Never heard of him. And who's the other one?
Stabenow.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought she was not running. Oh no, it is. He is going to challenge her. Yeah, he is.
Boy, it took us a long time to get there.
That should all be edited out because make us look smarter.
I'm about to say, if you edit out only yourself talking about Minnesota and not the rest of us.
That's right. I'm going to make everybody else look like an idiot. And I'm going to come in and go, come on, guys. Everybody knows it's Debbie Stabenow and some other guy.
And I just cheated and used Wikipedia.
Yeah, but the question, Kid Rock, that's just, Trump went to a prestigious school, had all sorts of business acumen, and at least we could say was a successful businessman.
Oh my God, Greg, what a world this is. You are now in a position where you have to defend Trump.
Right, now I'm saying, what could we say what would be the justification that they could say, well, Kid Rock's a successful has a entertainment, career. Is one of the people, would this be another Joe the Plumber? Or worse, would this be a Jesse Ventura?
But you know what? Jesse Ventura was not a terrible governor, in my opinion. And so, we've had Al Franken from Saturday Night Live is a senator. We all know.
Yeah, who went to Harvard.
Yeah, okay. Ronald Reagan was the governor of California and then a president. I'm sure there have been other, actors who've been very successful in politics.
Sonny Bono.
Well, Sonny Bono was the mayor of Palm Springs. I don't know how tough a job that is.
He was a
congressman.
That's right. Congressman too.
He was a U.S. congressman.
And Paul Murphy from California. He was an actor.
Right.
The guy who played Gopher.
Fred Grandy was a congressman. That's right.
Was a congressman. There have been tons of them.
So now we're talking about people like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is apparently seriously considering running for president in 2020. Now, we've all heard that Kanye West has been talking about it. People keep talking about maybe Oprah should run. But, maybe Trump has broken a glass ceiling of sorts. Maybe the citizen politician is the new thing.
The one that I heard this week was Caitlyn Jenner is courting the thought of running for senator.
See, when Trump ran, the thing that really got me was I'm like, oh, please, no reality TV stars. And now it does seem like the floodgates are open, and no, I don't think it's good.
Well, you know, the thing that I heard from a lot of people who voted for, and they still talk about this, is we wanted to drain the swamp. We don't want a politician. We want someone who's not from Washington. And that's what they got, you know, and now we see people who the public knows, they are familiar with, a Caitlyn Jenner, a Kid Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. These are people, a President Camacho, whatever. These are people that the public knows and feels familiar with, but they're not Washington inside the Beltway people. They have name recognition. They have a brand already, and they don't have
money.
Senate votes. Yeah, and they have money, and they can raise money, and they don't have votes such as like voting against farm subsidy because their party wanted them to. You know,
right.
I mean, and there's been a rolling revolt against career politicians for 20 or 30 years now. Look at all the term limits that popped up back in the 90s.
Sure.
So I'm not really surprised to see a trend in this direction because, is this any worse than the local used car dealer running for Congress?
Yeah, but they don't get elected.
Well, Darrell Issa.
He wasn't a car dealer. He was a multimillionaire, businessman.
No, he was a car dealer. He was first of all, he stole cars, but after that, he was, and then he had a car dealership. I mean, he had several car dealerships.
No, he's the guy that invented the car alarm, or got a patent on the car alarm. In fact, his voice is on one of those.
What?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
And by the way,
his voice is actually on that. Wait, let me just finish this. Is on one of those alarms that says "Step away from the car." That's Darrell Issa.
No,
I believe so. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I believe
if you're
I've heard
wrong,
that.
edit it out.
No, if I'm wrong, I'll leave it in. How's that for?
No, don't, please.
Okay, Cliff, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, our local congressman from my area, Scott Ridgel, was in fact literally a car dealer who ran for Congress. He won in a furball primary. And by the way, while we're thinking of actors and so forth, how did we all forget Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he married a Kennedy. I mean, heck,
that's how we forgot.
I thought about marrying a Kennedy at one point. I was like, yeah, this would be a nice way to get into politics. I should marry a Kennedy. I put an ad in Craigslist. I didn't see any.
Okay. Now, I'm going to read this from our new friend, Wikipedia. After leaving the military, Issa and his second wife moved back to Cleveland. According to Issa, he and his wife pooled their savings, sold their cars, and borrowed $50,000 from family members to invest in Quantum Enterprises. One of their companies, car alarm manufacturer Steel Stopper, would become the path to Issa's fortune. It was struggling badly, and he took control of it by foreclosing a $60,000 loan he had made to someone, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to get to the gist of this because I'm reading it as we go here. He actually turned this company into a huge success. That's where he made his money. And I do know anecdotally, I heard this, I think I heard it on Real Time with Bill Maher, that he was the voice of the alarm that said, "Step away from the car."
Yep. And also, I'm looking on Wikipedia. It says twice that year he was arrested. In the first incident, he was indicted by a grand jury for an alleged theft of a Maserati. It says it's got a whole section of times he was arrested.
So the man is presidential material.
Oh, yeah. He's a scumbag. I mean, yeah, me and Darrell, first of all, he never returns my phone call.
I don't know how we went off on Darrell Issa, but I think the point was that people from all backgrounds, not necessarily people that get into politics at age 24, are going to be running for high office. I happen to think it's a bad idea. I want my senators and my congressmen to have a background, but I do understand the idea of the citizen, politician. I mean, Cliff, Molly, what do you guys?
These aren't citizens.
I think a functioning Washington or a functioning state house requires a mixture. You want some people there who provide some semblance of institutional knowledge. I'll just go ahead and say your John Dingles and so forth, who provide at least some stability to the chamber. But you also want a lot of people who do turn over, because you don't want everybody there to be eternally running for re-election. That's not good for the system either.
I'm thinking, back to our founders and this, as you said, this kind of citizen, and of course thinking about, farmers and businessmen, and then there's Kid Rock. And, had he, and there are a lot of Hollywood types and actors who are, were well educated and did well. He is not one, so I don't know, but I guess we'll see what the people of Michigan want.
I have to say this: I don't know the man well enough to pass judgment. For all I know, he might be very smart and very articulate. I don't know. Do you guys know?
I know for a fact he's not using the word articulate. Okay. No, he's not articulate.
Well, neither is the president of the United States. So.
That's true. The man has like a third grade vocabulary.
Which one are we talking about?
The president. Okay. The president. I mean, that's. He uses words like bigly.
Yes.
Greg, he has all the best words.
He has all the bestest. His son is a very, 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 very fine individual, person. Seriously.
Anyways, we're rambling here, so let's put it this way. Have any of you thought about running for office? Cliff, that's got to be in your thoughts at some point, right?
It's been there. Well, I'll put it this way. It was much more there until I realized the sort of that's involved in actually running for office.
Okay.
And by that I mean the painful dialing for dollars, the endless events and so forth. Yes, I mean I'll put it this way: when I was in high school, I wanted to be running for governor of Virginia this year. Obviously, that didn't happen, and I think I'm far, quite frankly, happier that my life did not take that course.
It's only early July.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, when I was younger, yes, it was a thing I wanted to do. Now, if my life goes that way, awesome. If not, awesome.
Molly, what about you? I would actually, since we both live in Ohio, I would actually break my rule and I would work on a Republican campaign for you, Molly.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I would, because we do this podcast together. So would you ever run for office?
I was once approached years ago about running for school board and decided that was not in my best, my family's best interest. And I've, thought about, lesser office, like, state level. And I would like to, but I think it probably would involve too much out of my family. But, my kids one's going to be finishing high school, one's just starting high school. 5 years from now, I could be convinced.
Wow. Greg?
Wow. I was once approached by some people to run for school board, Cincinnati school board. So that's like the big time. Yeah. And I was moving out of Cincinnati at the time. I was moving into Loveland. And at the time, one of the school board members, I think they were messing with me, but they said, school board meetings are tough. We all have to leave one at a time with an armed guard. And I was like, are you messing with me? And they're like, maybe not, but we do have to leave one at a time with an armed guard. I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. I was like, but you guys get paid like what? 30, 40,000. They're like, we get $60 a meeting, and usually we spend that on donuts or coffee for everybody. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm moving out to the suburbs. Sorry. So I turned them down, and no, I think I enjoy working on campaigns. I love helping people, but I see what people do to get on those things, and it's a piece of your soul, and I don't have that much, obviously, if anyone's ever seen me dance.
What's happening with Emily in Virginia? and her campaign there?
Emily.
She won her primary. It was actually a modest blowout. It wasn't a complete romp, but she won every locality and the vast majority of the precincts. And it's a pretty safe Republican seat.
Wow. So she's very likely to win.
Yeah. For those new listeners, Emily used to be Emily Brewer was a member of our. And I still consider her a member of our More Perfect Union family, and she's taken a time off to run for state representative. Do you call it state representative in Virginia?
Delegate?
State delegate. Yeah. So hopefully she'll get elected and then use her unimaginable power
to make us the official podcast of the United States of America.
Or actually just do wonderful things for the state of, or the Commonwealth of Virginia. Commonwealth.
And Emily, we are all in your corner.
Yes. Commonwealth, yeah.
And with that, I think we should wrap this up and say thank you to our listeners for listening to part 2 of this week's More Perfect Union podcast. If you want to follow us between shows and maybe even partake in our debates, we have a Facebook group called Open Fire. We're all there. We'd love to see you there too. And please post our link on your Facebook timeline and tell your friends about our show so they can find us and listen to us too. And with that, any final words, anybody? DJ?
We miss you, DJ.